When your baby leaves your body, all your problems, they don't go away, they just change. The pain that you were once feeling from maybe carrying the baby, or the sleepless nights that you were once having because you're pregnant, they just look different now. And it is such a strange place to be in, where you're like, who am I? Like, what do I even enjoy? Like, what do I even like? What do I even want to wear? I think that's sometimes what the hardest thing about it is like, I know that this is something I've just got to go through, and I'm not going to be able to just like claw it back as quick as I'd like to. I've just got to ride the wave. As grateful as I am for what my body's done, it doesn't make it any easier when I've got nothing to wear and I'm feeling a bit ished about myself. Knowing that the sleep is going to come back doesn't make it any easier when I'm running off no sleep and I feel like I've just got to keep going, even though I'm absolutely exhausted and there's no time for me. And on top of that, then like the hormonal changes and everything, your body image and how you view yourself, like there are so many things that just are not factored in. Hello, my gorgeous people. Welcome back to another episode here on Normal Mum. I hope your day is going really well. I hope your nights were full of sleep. Mine last night was not, but I guess that's what I get for having 3 babies under the age of 5. Like literally, am I ever going to sleep again is what I literally think at this point. But anyway, we are here and I'm so grateful for you for clicking on this episode. I really hope that you enjoy it. I'm always so grateful. But we're going to dive straight in today to what we're going to talk about, because I'm not going to lie, it is something that I am such an advocate for. Like, I think it is not spoken about enough, and that is postpartum and the fact that, newsflash, it does not last 6 weeks. It's a long road, right? It is a long road. And I am 14 weeks postpartum now, guys. I actually cannot believe I'm saying that. Like, where does the time go? Like, I'm 3 kids down now, and quite literally, I think it goes faster every single time. But even though I had a really quite straightforward birth that actually, to be honest, like I mentioned in my last podcast episode, go and listen to it if you haven't already, I had a lovely birth with my 3rd child. And even though that was a really lovely, straightforward birth, this by far has been the hardest postpartum for me. And I'm going to just tell you why. I'm just going to share my postpartum experiences and why I genuinely think that we don't do ourselves justice when we say that it's like only 6 weeks or only 8 weeks or 10 weeks or 12 weeks long, because I genuinely feel like when you have a baby, oh my goodness, it changes you from every single corner, crevice, everything. Like nothing is the same. And I thought I would talk about it because I'm going through it right now, and every day for me feels so different. And I wanted to share it because it's something that I wish that I would have heard when I was going through it for the first time, because I very much thought that like once my baby was born, all my problems would go away in terms of like my hormones would come back to normal. I'd have my body back and there we go. We can carry on as if my body never even did that. Like, do you know what I mean? And maybe that was me being super naive, because when I gave birth, I was literally 22 when I had my first child. But I had all the information when it came to, you know, having the baby, all the information with raising the baby, with feeding, formula, breastfeeding, tummy time, like all of these things that they tell you that you need to be equipped for raising baby. But when it came to knowing about what happens during postpartum, honey, I was clueless. Like, I literally kid you not, I was absolutely clueless, to the point where I was shocked when I found out that like my bump was still going to be there when I gave birth. Like, I went from looking full term to 20 weeks. In my head, I don't know what I thought, but I generally thought that like once the baby was out, I would sort of come back to like just a bloat. Do you know what I mean? Like looking a little bit bloated. So I wasn't super naive to think that I was going to be back like, you know, petite like I was before with my pre-baby body. Not at all. But I just didn't think that like I was going to be still looking like 20 weeks pregnant after giving birth. So yeah, there was like that I didn't really expect to be a thing, like in postpartum, where I wasn't going to be back. Like obviously I knew I wasn't going to be back to like pre-baby me, but I just didn't think that I would be 20 weeks pregnant looking after just delivering my baby. And there were so many different things that I had not even considered when it came to postpartum the first time around. And to be honest, if I can speak openly, even third time around, it still brought so many surprises, so many things that you just forget about. So I thought, do you know what? As much of a sensitive topic as this actually is for me to speak about, I am going to speak about it because I just don't think it's normalized enough what you actually experience in those first couple of months. So grab yourself a cup of tea, get yourself comfy. I don't know where you're listening to this from, but we're just going to dive straight in today and talk all things postpartum. Okay. So like I said, I had quite a straightforward birth. And so for me, postpartum, I spent a night in hospital and I was feeling quite fine after giving birth to Roman. Like it was completely like, we were supernatural. We didn't have anything other than gas and air. And even then I felt sick on it. So I came off the gas and air before I was like pushing and things. So it was pretty straightforward. There was no sort of insane medical intervention. We were there, right? So we spent the night in hospital and then literally the next day after he was born, we were discharged because there was no need for us to be there anymore. So came out of hospital and we arrived home quite late. So more or less went straight to bed after the kids had met Roman. We more or less went straight to bed because obviously, not being funny, I had literally given birth the day before, right? She was exhausted. My mum was here. She had Roman for me and just sort of settled him while I could just get comfy being at home. Because obviously, like on a bare minimum, I was wearing a massive pad, which obviously when you are pregnant, you don't even have a period for 9-10 months. So all of the bleeding, like you've got to learn again. You know what I mean? It's an adjustment, even sitting on a massive pad. And for me, right, what never worked for me was the nappies, like the adult nappies, like the mum, like the pants. I'll be real with you. I'm not that girl. I'm just not. And everyone was like, they're so comfy. I put them on and I just hated them. Like I literally felt like, do you know what I mean? It was just the worst. So I could never, ever do the postpartum pants. Like, no, I was a pad girl through and through. So anyway, I was wearing these pads and, you know, you're adjusting. Like I had just given birth. So even sitting down is not super comfortable. Like obviously there was a lot of trauma happening down there, you know, and those are some of the things that you just don't expect. I remember the first time around, because I had the episiotomy and the forceps, the first time around, it was just crazy. Like I felt like I was sitting on a ball for like 2 weeks. It was absolutely horrendous. And anyone who's had forceps, I trust, right? I am with you. That recovery is not a joke. Okay, it's not a joke, and it is horrible. And yeah, I had this. There's this brand out there, and it does a product called Spritzy Bits. Go and get it. Okay, if you're about to have a baby, I cannot recommend that product enough. That is a game changer. Okay, but anyway. That night I went to bed after having Roman. First night at home, it was a dream, right? Lovely. I felt great. Woke up the next day and I felt amazing. So amazing that I was like vlogging, like recording everything with the kids. It was like coming up to Valentine's Day. Like I was feeling on cloud nine. I just had my gorgeous baby. I was loving it. And just as a side note, you know when I'm okay when I'm vlogging. If I'm not vlogging, if I go silent on social media, like please know she's in the trenches. All right. She is in the trenches because when I'm happy and like I just want to share it everywhere. I am always recording things. I'm like that is literally me. Okay. Like that's what I love. And I was doing it. I was loving it. And I was so determined this time around. Like I just wanted loads of content to look back on for myself of like those early days with baby and how tiny he was, because we all know they just change, don't they, so quickly. Literally in 2 weeks they are a different child. So anyway, I was just like in this little bubble, and it got to about 3 days postpartum and something just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. I was having like abdominal pains. It wasn't comfortable for me. It didn't just feel like my womb contracting, like it just felt off. And obviously I've done this now. This was the third time I was doing this, and it just wasn't something I'd felt before. And you know, you can think, oh, well, the pains are always worse with every child you have. And, you know, people say a lot of this, but it just felt not right. And I'm going to level with you here, okay? When I'm pregnant and when I'm experiencing postpartum, I get severely constipated. Like, that is a side effect that I like nothing is moving in there. Okay. Like, just to be honest, like nothing is moving in there. So I was smashing the oranges. Okay. Like literally I was eating 10 a day. Okay. I'm not even joking. I'm literally not even joking. I was eating 10 oranges a day because I don't like prunes. I'm not a big lover of the Weetabix. Like, do you know what I mean? I was like, oranges will have to do. Like, I've just got to keep up something to keep the machine going. Do you know what I mean? Because she was getting bunged up, honey. Like, yeah. But anyway, I was smashing the oranges. Okay. So at some point, I literally thought to myself, am I like literally giving myself, like, am I poisoning myself with vitamin C because I'm eating so many oranges? Like, I was Googling, that is actually a thing. Like, it's actually a thing. I was Googling it. Like, can you make yourself ill by eating too many oranges? Like, this is literally what I was thinking, because I was like, something's not right. Like, something is not right. I am not okay. So anyway, it got to, I think, maybe 6 days postpartum. And the pain was just getting, from that day 3, the pain was just getting progressively worse. Like, I was slowly getting to a place where I just wanted to be on the couch. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to put makeup on. I didn't want to pick up my phone. I didn't want to get dressed. I didn't want to do anything. I couldn't move. I was in so much pain. I was struggling to pick up Roman. I was struggling to like just be around the kids, and it was like hard to touch. Like, my stomach was like, it wasn't nice to touch. Like, it was painful if someone touched my stomach. So even with the boys, if they were like jumping on me or like come in to see the baby or whatever, I was so scared that someone was going to touch my stomach because I was in that much pain. And it basically got to the point where one night I was like, Ben, you're going to have to like do the night feeds tonight. You're going to have to feed Roman. We were like 6 days postpartum, maybe 5. So you're going to have to feed Roman. I said, I can't pick him up. I could barely walk. Guys, I'm not going to lie. I could barely walk. I couldn't eat because if I was eating, it almost flared up whatever was going on. Like, if I was eating, it was just awful. Like, everything was so awful, and causing me so much pain. And on that night, I went to bed and I said, look, I said, you're going to have to do the night feeds. I couldn't even pick him up. I was there with a hot water bottle. I still had my pregnancy pillow, like just trying to get comfortable. But the reality was I was in excruciating pain. And I'm not someone that likes to tell people when I'm in pain, because I'm like, I just want to crack on, especially when I just had a new baby and I didn't want to miss anything. Like, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't want to miss out. Like, I've just brought my baby home. Like, everybody's enjoying this new postpartum bubble. I just wanted to be there. I didn't want to go to hospital. I didn't want to put anyone out. I didn't want to have to leave Ben on his own with 3 kids, one of which being a newborn. Like, I just didn't want to do that. But it got to the place where literally 11 o'clock that night, it was a Sunday night, and I was in so much pain. And I turned to Ben and I said, I'm just going to go to hospital. Something is not right. I'm going to go to hospital and I've got to sort this out. Like, this is not okay. I went down and I knew something wasn't right. And at the end of the labor, when my placenta came out, they did actually say there was this thing, gosh, I could never know what they said, but it's something like ragged membranes, something like that. Listen, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a health professional. I don't really know what that means. But what I can gather is like, basically my placenta didn't really come out nicely. There was like bits left, you know, straggling behind. Like, they were like pulling it out like string, you know. And that can be really dangerous. So I had to keep an eye on it, because obviously anything left behind, your body then starts to reject it, and it can obviously result in infection and things like that. However, that being said, I didn't really have any of those symptoms. which tends to be like a lot of bleeding. And my bleeding wasn't actually that bad like this time around. So I was thinking can't be that. It's not really marrying up, which is why I thought it was the oranges. Okay, that is why I thought it was the oranges, because I was like, surely not. Anyway, my mum took me to the hospital because I was like, I can't drive. I was in so much pain. Drove me down to the hospital, literally like helped walk me to the hospital door. And I was just so emotional. Like, I remember like just talking to the midwives when I actually got to hospital, and they were like, what's wrong? I was just crying and crying and crying, because I was just like, I can't believe that I'm 5 days postpartum. I'm in this much pain. But the most painful thing for me was actually leaving my baby, because when you think about it, and I'm going to get emotional probably when I'm talking about this now, but when you think about it, I'd been with him for like 9 months. And a mother, look, listen, when you become a mum, the connection that you feel to your baby, your child, is second to none. I'm not saying that dads don't feel the same way, but I can't speak on behalf of dads. But for me personally, that connection, like, I didn't want to leave the room with him, let alone leave him on his own. And like, I would be like, what if he changes? What if he misses me? What if he needs me? Like, all these things that come into your head as a mum, where you think, I need to prioritize myself right now because I'm poorly and I can't be the best version of me, and I can't be the best mum if I'm not healthy. But at the same time, I am everything that he has known for the last 9 months. Like, not to be dramatic, but you know, I'm everything that he's known for the last 9 months. Like, what if he needs me? All of that to basically say, right, I was so scared to leave him because, like I said, I hadn't even been on my own. Like, you know, that it's like that first shower you take after you have a baby and it's just you. And for the first time in 9 months, you're literally showering alone. And it's the weirdest feeling, isn't it, when you're having that shower, because you're like, it is just me. Like, you wash in and you look down at your tummy and you're like, my life, like, you know, it's just crazy. And it was a bit like that. Like, I just felt so alone and so lonely. And I remember getting to the hospital and obviously going through with the midwives, and that was kind of happening. And they were asking all these questions. Long story short, I did have an infection. So they were treating me for an infection. They also were treating me for constipation, because like I said, I get constipated anyway, but obviously I wasn't really eating. I wasn't really taking on anything either. I wasn't really moving around. So it was a lot of things that were contributing to constipation because obviously of my pain. I also had a severe buildup of gas. Like, literally, that's what was causing like my stomach being painful to touch. And long story short, I ended up spending another sort of 48 hours in hospital by myself. And that was the hardest thing ever. And I chose not to have Roman with me in hospital because, like I said, I couldn't even pick him up. And I was just like, I needed that time. I needed sleep. I needed to recover. I was on like antibiotics. So even when I was like on the drip, like obviously I couldn't, you know what it's like with the wires, it just wouldn't have been comfortable. And Roman would not have had a good experience being there with me because I just was in so much pain and there was wires everywhere. Like, and it was just not, it was not it. And I had to prioritize myself, which is such a difficult decision to make when you are literally 5 days postpartum and all you want to do is be in your baby bubble. Like, I don't wish it on anyone. But anyway, we were there and we were in hospital. And I remember like Roma would visit me with Ben, and it was just like, oh, I have not felt so much heartbreak being separated in that as what I did. But anyway, long story short, I ended up being treated with antibiotics on an IV drip. Then I was allowed to come home with antibiotics to sort of take when I was home. And I kid you not, I felt incredible. Physically, I felt amazing. And I was like back to my old self to a small degree, in terms of like, you know, I was able to actually do more things. Like, I was actually able now to just tidy up around the house, like little things that, you know, you guys know how important it is for me to have a clean house. So when I couldn't clean and like I couldn't refresh the place, it was so hard for me. Like, it was so difficult for me to just sit there in pain, in mess. Like, it was like I just did not, I felt so far away from who I was. It was horrible. But anyway, so when I eventually then started feeling better physically, obviously I was documenting, I wanted to document so much of like my postpartum journey with like my bump going smaller and how I was feeling and my milk supply. And because obviously all that happens as well, right? So you're still going through all of this and I've still got rock hard boobs and I wasn't breastfeeding. So I was like, no way of releasing any of that pain. And it's like, do you know what I mean? It all just hits you in one go, doesn't it? Like everything, you're giving birth. And like I said, it's not like when you give birth, everything's fine and you're back to normal. Absolutely not. You give birth, you've got that massive hormone drop where you've just given birth and you're like, what the heck was that? And you just feel like you want to cry for 3 days straight. Then your milk comes in and you want to cry again for another 6 days. But on top of that, you've got rocks on your chest, like literal boulders that you're like, please don't touch me because I will cry. Then you've got another like hormone drop when your milk is leaving your body. Then you've got like your bleeding, which you're like, is it finishing? Is it not? Then you've got that first period. Like literally, it's bonkers. It is the only word to describe being postpartum. And so I was fine for quite a while, like when it came to it. Then I had my first period and like I said, it gave me like a whole new like view on things. But I think the hardest thing for me this postpartum has been losing like myself. And this is what I really want to kind of, knuckle down on in terms of what I mean when I say the postpartum period is so long. Is because, I went back into hospital and I was poorly. They treated me and then I could feel better. Like my womb was coming back to normal and physically, everything goes tucked up again downstairs by like 8 weeks. Like, you know what I mean? You can get intimate if you want to. Like, you can sort of have a bit more of the normality back. But it's a really weird thing because like your body's doing its thing, but then mentally it's doing something completely different. And the hardest thing for me this time around has most definitely been the struggle with my body, and not from a point of view of like, physically I feel great. Physically, I feel fine. I am back to normal in terms of like, being able to move. I'm not back to normal in terms of like, I'm nowhere near like the size I was before I had Roman, like not at all. And to be honest, it's not even something I'm really bothered about right now. I just want to be happy in myself and I'm really, really not. Like I'm really, really not. And it's a really strange place to be in because you're so grateful for what your body's done. And also amazed. Like, I think it is the most incredible thing. Like, I look at all of my kids and I'm like, I grew you like inside. My body did that, made a whole person, like from their heart to their arteries to their skin. And I was actually looking the other day at like Roman's eyelashes and I was like, my body even grew little tiny eyelashes that sit on his eyes. Like, and like you look at the detail of a baby and like their fingertips and their whole DNA, like all of that was done inside of me. Like it blows my mind. And I think it's an incredible, incredible thing. So at the same time, I'm so grateful for my body and I admire it so much and I can't believe it's done the things that it's done. But at the same time, I feel like rubbish. There's stronger words that we could be using right now, but I don't really want to use language on my podcast. Do you know what I mean? But you get my drift, okay? You get my drift. I feel awful. And it's really strange because once I'd had Roman, like there's things that I didn't even know existed. Like under my eyes, I've got like these dark patches, like dark. It's basically called melasma. Google it, right? It's called melasma, which is basically where like it's like a little area under my eye that's just suntanned, almost looks like suntanned, and there's nothing I can do about it because it's purely hormonal, and you can do something about it sort of after a year, but it kind of takes a year for it to sort of settle. But I just never knew that was a thing. So I constantly look haggard because I look like I've not slept, even if I have slept, because I've just got this darkness around my eyes. My skin is drier this time around. So when I'm even applying my makeup, I am like, I look old because it's obviously gravitating and settling in all of like my fine lines and wrinkles, which I've never experienced before. And no matter how much moisturizer or anything I'm slapping on, it's not doing anything because it's just my skin texture at the minute is different. Little things like that is just like really getting to me. I'm not happy with my boobs right now. Like, I'll be honest, with every child, I think they've halved in size. And it's like, I look at myself sometimes and I'm like, gosh, I look like just young. Let's just say that. I just look like, where are they? You know what I mean? And I remember like my mum, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but my mum, with every child she had, her boobs just got bigger. And I was like, when I was younger, I was like, I am ready for that. Like, sign me up. Like, do you know what I mean? I was like, yes, I am going to have like, yeah. Anyway, I was so ready for that. Like, I really was. But with every single child, they have just gone. And now, like, I look at them and I'm like, no, they're like popped balloons, like bang, like literally like a water balloon. You know, when you give a water balloon and you pop a water balloon and then it just hangs and it's like wrinkly and it's like, that's what I feel like I'm looking at the moment every single day. It is what it is. I can't change it. So I've just got to suck it and see. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, it's like little things like that you just don't realize will actually affect you as much as they do. And other things then, like I look at my clothes and I'm like, gosh, everything that I wore before I got pregnant was either really tight, cropped, or just designed for someone who hasn't just given birth. And so even when it would come to dressing, it wouldn't even be a case of like, I was annoyed that I'm like not a size whatever anymore. It was more just practically, I genuinely had to go and get a whole new wardrobe because the style that I was even wearing before I had kids was different, right? And it really just would get to me because I'd be like trying to get ready for the day and I can't even wear things that are in my wardrobe currently that I was wearing beforehand, not because they don't fit, but because I'm just like, I can't wear that. Like, and it just gets you down. And the thing is then, is you're going shopping for new things. You've got this whole new body to cater for and you've got no idea where to start. And it just gets overwhelming. And then yet again, you've got nothing to wear. And you're gravitating towards sweatshirts, sweatpants. All I want to wear is my pajamas. Like you're in this cycle and you just never feel good. You never feel put together because you're just wearing whatever every day. And I did go like and buy some things. Like I just invested in some really nice tracksuits. I got myself some really nice cords, ones that were still super comfy. I've not worn leggings since I've had Roman. I've not even attempted it. The idea, to be honest, of putting something skin tight on me right now is like, nah. But I haven't. There's just some things I'm just avoiding. I avoided jeans for quite a long time because I was just like not really ready to kind of look into, because jeans shopping at the best of time when you're not postpartum is a minefield, but when you're postpartum and you're not really feeling yourself, it is awful. So yeah, I was just like, not in, and I'm still like not really in a good place with a lot of that stuff. And I think that is the stuff that's really hit me this time is not only like physically did I have a lot of complications at the beginning, which really like it did force me to look after myself. So I really prioritized, after going back into hospital, I really prioritized getting my greens. Like I really prioritized like getting vitamins in and just trying to like fuel my body with good stuff. I really tried to get out every single day in fresh air just to move my body and just try and lift my spirits a little bit and just get out in the fresh air. I really tried, but I also don't know if the fact that the time of year that I've given birth as well is maybe a factor because it is the summer and I'm here like, looking at things to wear when the weather's hot and all I want to do is cover up. Like, the idea of wearing like a racer back top right now when I hate my boobs and I don't love my arms, it's like, it's a no from me. Do you know what I mean? It's a clear no from me. And it's really weird because I think a lot of people would look and think, oh, you're great or you're glowing. And a lot of people tend to say that, don't they? Like, and it's really odd, isn't it? Because I look at so many other women that are probably having those same struggles as what I am. And I think they look incredible. But if you don't feel it for yourself, isn't it? It's just a completely different ball game. People can tell me I look great till the cows come home, but if I don't feel it for myself, sadly, it does affect me. And I'm going to be really honest about that. It really, really does. Not only does it affect me, but it affects then, things like intimacy. Like I'm a lights off girly, right? I'll be honest. I'm a lights off girly because I am so not confident in the way that I look right now. I just think that my husband is going to see all the bits that I hate about myself and think, do you know what I mean? He's not. I know he's not. But it's funny, isn't it? How that is where you get to in your mind. And listen, my confidence this postpartum in terms of being a mum is second to none. Like, I am absolutely loving it. Like, we had some difficulty at the beginning, which I will speak about. Like, I'm going to do a big old debrief of the first 3 months of being a mum of 3. Probably in the next episode. But in terms of like being a mum, I have never felt more connected to myself as a mother as what I have this time around. Like, I am so just, whatever my kids need is going to happen. If it inconveniences me, that is fine. If it puts me out, that is fine. I know how quick these things go. I know how short-lived a lot of the phases that feel like they're going to go on forever. I know how short they are. So I am just embracing it, taking it in my stride, and I'm just going with it. So in terms of me as a mum, I have never felt more connected to that side. But me, in terms of Carys, what she likes, her confidence, what she likes to wear, who she is outside of being mum, I actually don't know. And it is something that scares me a little bit sometimes when I look at myself in the mirror and I just think, gosh, like, who is this person? And I worry sometimes and I wonder sometimes, is it because, I am so young, and so everybody that I see who's sort of like in their mid-20s, is in a very different life stage to me. And I look at a lot of that and they're just getting married now and they're in their prime and they're like, and I am guilty of comparing myself to that, but I'm also guilty of comparing myself to previous postpartums and my previous body shape type feelings. And a lot of it is, again, like, I know what I should do. Like, yeah, getting myself back in the gym would be great. Not eating biscuits for lunch would be fantastic if I had time to sort myself out. Because that's the thing, isn't it? Like, when you're a mum, sadly, everything you want to do has to really come last because you have to prioritize differently. And unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, it's the things that I want to do that I've got to sacrifice because my husband has to work, or he's away, or my kids have got clubs, or they didn't sleep. And I'm not somebody who's going to, force myself to work out if I am absolutely shattered after having no sleep. Like, I'm just not going to do that to myself. And at the same time, I'm like, but then again, it would be good for me because for me, I know that going to the gym not just helps me obviously feel better in how I look physically, but it makes me feel better. You know what I mean? Mentally, like if I'm feeling well and I've got those, endorphins running around my body, like I do feel like so much better in myself. But it's making time for things like that. So I just know it's just this vicious cycle, isn't it? Of I know what I need to do, but having time, space, capacity to do it when I am literally like 3 months postpartum, the world needs me is how it feels with my kids and career and family and keeping up with everything and friends. It can just be so hard. And I think that's the thing with having babies and the postpartum things that you don't really realize. And I was just Googling actually this week, like what actually is like the postpartum recovery. And it's like 6 to 8 weeks. Many women will feel mostly recovered is what it says, okay? But essential to allow for longer recovery periods for some. I would say all. Like, I'll be honest with you, like you can be intimate from 6 weeks, yeah? I was not being touched at 6 weeks. I was like, not only did I not feel ready, but I was not feeling good in myself, confident in myself, like nothing. And I think that can also sometimes bring a little bit of strain in the relationship because obviously, your husband, he wants to be intimate with you and he wants to, but as a woman, sometimes you're not there. And I really wasn't there after having Roman for a while. It was just sort of like, no, like absolutely not. Like I just wasn't feeling myself. Like, and I didn't feel like that was something that I wanted to do. And even then, like, there's so much that I can talk about, and Ben's actually going to jump on the pod and we're going to talk about our experiences, like as young couple having kids and the effects that has had in our relationship. But it's little things like that then that just does affect, or can affect your relationship, is things like intimacy, communication when you are feeling the way that you are. Like I've had so many conversations with Ben where I'm like, look, listen, I am ratty and more impatient at the minute because I'm just not feeling like me. Like I feel like I'm being pulled from pillar to post. And it's hard to it's just hard, isn't it, to get through a lot of that. But then this, again, back to what I was researching, hormonal fluctuations take several months, even more if you're breastfeeding. Long term, you can have inflammation and you might not fully return to pre-pregnancy levels of inflammation until up to 80 weeks, which is well over a year. You have hormonal shifts, you have changes in your uterus and your obviously vaginal area, your changes in your breast tissue, postpartum hair loss. I've not hit that yet, but honey, she's come in and I'm going to be crying when that hits. Fatigue, lack of energy, weight changes, obviously not to mention postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. You're changing your sleep patterns, mood swings, emotional changes, the type of delivery you have affects it, whether you breastfeed or not, your support system around you, like your individual health, like where you were to begin with. Like there are so many things that come into play in postpartum. And I just feel like when you walk away from birth, you're sort of checked in on in terms of like, you okay, but you're never really prepped with, what to expect when you're not expecting, right? Like what to expect when you've had the baby. And for me, like I said, this time postpartum, feeling like myself, like there's that phrase, isn't it, like where flamingos, they lose their pink when they give birth because they give so much of themselves, like food, energy, everything to raising their little flamingo babies, that they actually like discolor and they lose their pink. And I think that is such a beautiful analogy for being a mum. Like when you have your baby, you give so much of yourself to that person, to that child. Rightly so. Listen, I would go through this 1,000 times for my kids. I would experience this 1,000,000 times over. I would lose my pink tenfold, right? I know that I'm going to get myself back. I know that I am. And I know that this is just a period of time. And I think that's sometimes what the hardest thing about it is like, I know that this is something I've just got to go through and I'm not going to be able to just like claw it back as quick as I'd like to. I've just got to ride the wave. But it just doesn't make it any easier, does it? It doesn't make it any easier when you're getting dressed in the morning. As grateful as I am for what my body's done, it doesn't make it any easier when I've got nothing to wear and I'm feeling a bit ished about myself. Like, you know what I mean? It's knowing that the sleep is going to come back doesn't make it any easier when I'm running off no sleep and I feel like I've just got to keep going even though I'm absolutely exhausted and there's no time for me, or you know what I mean? Like it's so hard. And on top of that, then like the hormonal changes and everything, your body image and how you view yourself, like there are so many things that just are not factored in. Like when your baby leaves your body, all your problems, they don't go away, they just change. So like, the pain that you were once feeling from maybe carrying the baby or the sleepless nights that you were once having because you're pregnant, they just look different now. Like, and it is such a strange place to be in where you're like, who am I? Like, what do I even enjoy? Like, what do I even like? What do I even want to wear? I'm literally going on holiday in a couple of weeks' time and I'm looking at things and I'm like, I don't even know if that's going to suit me. Like, do you know what I mean? And I'm beating myself up about it. And it's like, it's just not it. It's just so difficult. So yeah, I'm still riding the wave. I'm not going to lie. Like I'm not there. And I feel like I'm so far from being there. being happy in myself. Like I'm doing some things, which I'm actually going to talk about in another podcast episode too, of like some of the things that I am doing, like to help myself in this postpartum period. From, like I said, going for walks, getting out and about, like we're going to talk about it all. Like subscribe, like, follow, get involved if you haven't already to the pod. Like there's so much that I want to talk about this time in my life. But yeah, right now I'm just not there. And right now I'm just not, I'm not Carys. I feel so far from Carys as a person. Carys as the mum, honey, she is in her element. She is loving life. I have never been happier. And that is that's the thing about it, isn't it? Like, if you ask me, I have never been happier than what I am right now. Genuinely, best time of my life, the happiest I've ever been. But when it comes to me, my body confidence, who I am, yeah, I just don't know yet. So I am still going on that journey at the moment over what do I like in terms of hobbies, like to wear, what do I like to do? Like I do find myself, I'm a lot more of a homebody since having kids. I don't drink really since having kids. Does not interest me at all one bit. Like a glass of wine in the evenings is just not what I like doing anymore. I am a cup of tea kind of gal. Like I always have been. I've been a big lover of a cup of tea, but now we have got a serious relationship going on, me and, a good brew. I'm on this journey of postpartum. I'm sure we'll have lots of conversations about it coming up in the future. But I just wanted to have a really honest conversation about like how I felt after labor and what I went through after having Roman, because again, I think a lot of the time we talk about labor and birth, but we actually fail to talk about like how we actually feel afterwards. And that was just my experience. And we're going to talk loads more. Like I said, baby boy, he's 3 months now. We're going to talk loads about the last 3 months, what it's going to look like. Like I said, I'm going to get Ben on the pod. We're going to talk all things like relationships and things that we've done. I'm so excited to be back talking to you guys. Like you would not believe how happy I am to be back doing this, and I'm just so excited to share more with you. So like, subscribe, follow, get involved, drop a comment, let me know what your postpartum experience has been like, and I will see you very, very soon on the next episode. I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.